Hi, my name is Neha Verma. Uh, I am in course MBA Bridge program and I have to present a presentation on a topic social and global issues. First of all, I really want to explain what is social and global issue actually is. Social and global issues are problems that affect society and the world as a whole, impacting people's life in various ways. These issues can be poverty, health issues, climate change, inequality, and many others. So let's take a quick dip in one of the social and global issue, which is poverty in rising Africa. I was not familiar to this topic earlier because I was not aware about poverty in Africa. But when I joined my class few weeks back, my professor, Mr. Steve, make us familiar and he raised this global issue in our class and I have to make a research over it. And when I get a chance to talk about this topic, so I choose this one and only topic, which is poverty in rising Africa. So Africa is facing a huge poverty, which is a complex and multi-phase issue that affects a significant portion of a continent population, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. As of 2020, approximately 430.8 million of people in this region were living in extreme poverty, defined as living on less than $1.90 per day. So this is a main reason of poverty in Africa, which people consider till date is colonialism. So the impact of colonialism in Africa was very bad. It has a devastating effect on African economies, drastically destabilizing communities and remaining the significant cause of poverty in Africa to this day from the late 19th century to mid 20th century. European powers established colonials and exerted political, economic, and cultural control over much of Africa. So it has significant and lasting effect on the continent, including the displacement of local populations, the exploitation of resources, and many other reasons. So there are many other reasons for this poverty in Africa, which are discussed. So the people of Africa considered many other factors as well, but they considered the colonialism as the main factor for the poverty, as they can't get over it. So many other reasons are as structural inequality and lack of access to the resources. They are not have enough resources to invest in or to get access for. So structural inequality basically refers to the systematic and institutionalization barriers that prevent certain groups from assessing resources and opportunities. Lack of access to these resources, such as land, water, and credit, also reinforces poverty and inequality. The combination of these factors result in poverty trap. Other reason is poor infrastructure and government corruption. Another significant cause of poverty in Africa is poor infrastructure, which is because of government corruption. Infrastructure refers to the basic physical and organizational structures needed for the functioning of society, including transportation, communication, water supply, and energy systems. When infrastructure is weak or inadequate, it can limit economic growth and social development and access to essential services and precipitating a cycle of poverty. Climate change in Africa. Climate change is causing more frequent and severe droughts, floods, and other extreme weather events, which can lead to water scarcity, crop failures, and the displacement of people. In fact, according to the records, 86 million African peoples may be forced to migrate within their own countries as a result of climate change by 2050. Uh, the main reason which we need to consider in today's world for poverty in Africa is conflict and civil wars in Africa. Conflict is one of the main causes of poverty in Africa and for decades actually, it sadly has become a core part of life. in many African countries. African citizens are enduring the burden of displacement, loss of life, diminishing economic resources caused by warring factions that refuse to lay down arms. High unemployment rates and an unstable political landscape contribute to this devastating cycle, which has deep roots in colonialism, resource extraction, and imperialism. So these are the factors which were considered before. Other reasons are overpopulation, bad governance, which we talked earlier, high transport cost and limits infrastructure, low productivity in agriculture, high disease burden because people are not getting healthy, they are not eating good, they are not living good. So these kind of things are bothering them. Rapid population growth is the major is playing major role in this kind of issue. Uneven distribution of resources, over dependence on foreign aid. So these are need to be look after. So Africa then and Africa now. I just want to people to have a look on this because earlier Africa was ruled by Britishers, but now they are still facing colonialism, but in a different way because they are under debt. The roots of the roots of African rural poverty lie in the colonialism that disrupted local governance structures, extracted and exploited the natural and human resources for the colonizer benefit, and imposed institutional restraints on the local poor. So this is still affecting them anyhow in a good way or in a bad way, but it's mostly in a bad way. So the cycle of poverty. People do believe that cycle of poverty is going on and on in Africa. So I just want you to have a look on the cycle of poverty because cycle of poverty in Africa describes a persistent state where families remain trapped in poverty across multiple generations, making it difficult to escape without external support. This is often due to limited resources, opportunities, educational, and employment prospects, creating a vicious loop where poverty is passed down from one generation to the next. So, this cycle is also affecting them, and they are under develop. They are far away from the development. They are just getting them dig in this kind of a situation. So, cycle of poverty is going on and on with time. They are not getting out of this. Understanding the cause. Understanding the cause is mainly let's what we want to talk about. The most widely recognized key cause of poverty in Africa is colonialism only, because people think that we get into this situation and we never let ourselves out of this situation because of the government is corrupted there. The colonial era disrupted many traditional African economies and exploited many African indigenous people. Colonial countries took control of many African natural resources. The effects are still felt today, where some of the biggest companies operating in Africa are owned by descendants of colonialists, particularly in the natural resource sector. So people blame the main cause, one and only cause is colonialism, which is affecting them till today from the 19th century. So solutions. Let's talk about some solutions. How we gonna overcome these? So according to the African Leadership magazine, they think that we need to revolutionize financial inclusion, CSR, on rural development and poverty, harnessing renewable energy and resources, revolutionizing education, agriculture innovation, health innovation, the African Regional Data Cube, challenges and path forward, a future fueled by innovation. They think that, according to African Leadership Magazine, the leaders of Africa think that we have to invest on this, but we have another things to do with all this. So the causes of poverty in Africa are complex and interconnected. No single factor can explain why poverty persists in Africa, but the legacy of colonialism, lack of resources, government corruption, and civil unrest have all played a role in maintaining an equal playing field, right? So, in spite of these difficulties, African nations are beginning to make a real advance in providing access to basic needs for their citizens. External organization and charity initiatives are also helping making a difference to communities across the continent. As we look at the future. International partnerships and effective policies will be vital to mitigating poverty and ensuring that all citizens can lead safe lives. And secure lives. Safe and secure because they are facing a lot in Africa, right? This is why it's up to us to lend our voices and support for efforts that advocate of a greater accountability from governments and work toward tracking inequality both here in Africa and across the world. Because it's not the responsibility or duty of only an individual, whether he is living in Africa or out of Africa. It's a duty of whole world, because at the end we are a part of a world where we all are living together, and we have to raise our voices about the things happening in Africa, whether it is civil war, whether it is poverty, whether it is diseases, or whatever. So, concluding this presentation, the historical records and colonial achieve reveals that colonial era had profound and enduring impact on the socio-economic conditions of African nations. So, according to the quantitative analysis of education indicators confirm that limited access to high education is significant barrier poverty reduction to Africa. It can play a role of barrier if they are providing good education to each and every uh, child in Africa who are not able to join the schools because they are not having enough money even to eat, even to dress up for their living expense. They are not getting enough. So the discussion highlights the urgent need for policies that promote equitable access to education and address the barriers that hinder educational attainment. We really hope that Africa can get over this poverty, and I really want to wish them good luck because they are just fighting like a soldiers. They're standing strong and they're fighting with all the situations along with their children who are under 2 or 3 age. They are still facing this with a great smile on their faces. So, really want to wish them a good luck, and that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.